Looking well.
Thank you. Oh, Uncle Peter and Aunt Pearl.
Good. You're looking well.
Thank you. Oh, Aunt Pearl. Now, I'll say you're looking young every day. Doesn't Aunt Pearl look wonderful, darling? She looks great.
Arthur, I don't think we've had the pleasure of meeting this young woman. Would you introduce us?
That's stupid of me. Princess Gloria, may I introduce my aunt and uncle, Peter and Pearl Bark?
Who are you? Princess? Did you say Princess Arthur?
Yes, yes. There's a very small country in the West Indies. I mean, small.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah. It's terribly small. Tiny little country. Rhode Island could beat the crap out of it in a war. That's how small it is.
It's small.
Very little. It's 85 cents in a cab from one end of the country to the other. I'm talking small.
We understand it's small, Arthur.
He recently had the whole country carpeted. This is not a big place.
We understand that it's small, Arthur. We also understand that you are very drunk. So why don't we meet again when you're sober?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't help it.
Grow up, Arthur. You'll make a fine adult.
Yeah, it's easy for you to say. You haven't got 50 pairs of short pants hanging in your closet.
The press has a good time with you, Arthur. Millionaire drunk playboy. The weakest man I have ever known. I despise your weakness. Arthur, I'm afraid we have to talk.
I'm not going to marry her. I've told you that 1,000 times.
Huh? If that's your decision, Arthur, the family has no choice. I'm sorry, Arthur. Very sorry. As of this moment, you are cut off.
You mean cut off from you and grandmother and the family? So you mean cut off from you don't mean cut off from
The money, Arthur. Your grandmother and I have had all the papers drawn up. We want this marriage, Arthur. I want it. Bert Johnson wants it.
Bert Johnson? It's a criminal.
We all are, Arthur. And as you know, we usually get what we want.
Well, frankly, Father, I'd rather starve. And I will. Get married when I fall in love with somebody.
Fine. I respect your integrity. You've just lost $750 million.
Actually, Susan is a very nice girl.
Very nice. And she'll make a wonderful wife.
Yes, wonderful. Have you ever seen her face when the light catches it just right? She's really quite beautiful. Of course, you can't depend on that light.
The wedding is a month from today. The invitations will be mailed tonight.
Have you ever tasted her chicken? She does spectacular things with chicken. And I love a chicken made at home.
Arthur, this is the ring your grandfather gave to your grandmother. She wants you to give it to Susan.
This is to marry one girl. Please don't do this to me, Father.
Arthur, I've been waiting for you to grow up. I can't wait any longer.
Well, I'm sorry that was taking so long. I was trying to download a image for you that was special, but this darn computer, I could type the word "the" and it would take 10 minutes. Anyway, sorry that took so long. Ham is going to come on at noon. So we've got 50 minutes to kill. This is the last trading day of the year. The market closes at 2. And let's just go through. I'm not gonna write down the new prices, but these are the stocks that I kind of looked at as things to accumulate or buy in the last week of December. I'm totally willing to consider ones that you know, but CAUD is trading at 134.5, very low volume. Today will be low volume. Today's prices are meaningless. Nobody's really there. People are off jetting to, the Caribbean, jetting to Stad, and going home to get ready for an all weekend drunk. So, all right. So that's CAUD. Finger is $3.93, down 13 cents. Finger, I think, it takes a little courage to buy when it's being manipulated downward. But I think next week, next year, next month, next week, I think you're going to start seeing things happen in Finger. Will it suddenly be reflected in the price? Maybe, maybe not. But the selling pressure here is false and manipulated, in my judgment. Everything on here, nothing's financial advice. I don't know you individually, your financial situation individually. Everything I say is in my judgment and in my opinion. GTII is 39 cents, 39 to 39.5. It's the last day of the year. They're doing their best to drive that downward. I think under 40 cents, we have to be cognizant of the fact that it's under 40 cents. I remember when I first bought GTII, it was around that level. I can't remember the specific price, but it had run up quickly to 40 cents. To me, that's a significant number. But today's prices don't mean anything. I think the key of these two stocks is Finger. I believe one is a long-term fundamental beauty. But in the short run, I think the focus is going to be on Finger. And if Finger has, let's call it a run or a squeeze or a successful trade, depending basically on him, I think the whales will go back to GTII. But anyway. All right, let's go on to the next one. Logic. Basically 7 cents. It's last trade 0.0698. No volume. It's 0.0531 to 0.0698. I think there will be news coming out on Logic. I have no link to that, but it's just my judgment that after kicking the tires on many suitors for basically over a year, that you're going to start seeing information come out as to whom Logic is going to either be reverse mergered, bought by, or just mergered, a typical merger arrangement. The risks in Logic, frankly, is the same crappy financing that Aubrey SPAC arranged through Chandron and Polar and those attorneys. But that's yesterday. We live in America. It's always about what are you going to do today and looking forward. But there was a note in there for Logic for, I don't know, 2.5 million. I assume in any kind of M&A activity, that deal will be unwound and won't have a prolonged effect. But CEOs and boards are not trained to witness or understand the risks created by Adriana Friedman's complete laziness, lack of intelligence, lack of leadership, lack of hard work, and maybe complicity is a better answer. Same with Robert Cook over at the FINRA, big fat slob sitting collecting $3 million a year doing F-ball to protect CEOs and shareholders. And then you've got Goober Gensler, glad-handing Gensler, the twit from Maryland, who turned in his skills at sucking up to people into $100 million fortune. And, maybe he's smart. If he's smart, he's complicit. Or maybe he's just an idiot. But in any event, the SEC does nothing to protect CEOs and shareholders from the onslaught of placement agents, false front money raisers, and then the so-called hedge funds that just set up sluices from overseas that just destroy stock price after stock price and steal market caps. And Gary Gensler has he doesn't have cojones. They've gone missing in action, but he has the chutzpah to sit before Congress and say we have the deepest markets, the most transparent markets, the best markets in the world for capital formation. So Gary Gensler is either complicit or an idiot. And in my mind, it's a toss-up. He's certainly an arrogant, self-centered narcissist, in my judgment. And then you've got Congress that's purchased by the banksters. You've got presidential candidates that are purchased by the banksters. You've got Janet Yellen purchased by the banksters. You've got the Fed, which is in cahoots with Ken Griffin, all arranged by the banksters. Anyway, CEOs have a hard time. So in the case of Logic, there's a tiny risk there, but I think the overall news that's going to come out is there will be an acquisition of Logic or a merger of Logic. And I expect that stock to be over 10 cents a share next month, at least 10 cents a share. So that's Logic. HNRC is really interesting to me. It's $2. $2. It's 2 cents 85. And I listened to the emerging growth interview that Frank Kristen did on November 1 of this year. Yeah, Emerging Growth Conference. You can find it. This is his exact quote from the beginning of that interview. Well, it's his exact quote with, I took out the uhs and ums, and also I'm not great at shorthand or anything. So, there might be one word missing, but it's what his message is. Quote, the HNRC completed a sale of some of our current energy assets. We realized 15 cents a share, And we will look at a dividend potentially of that interest later this year, and an announcement of that. Well, here we are on the last day of the year, so we didn't do it by now. But that clearly to me says, he says, we're going to look at a dividend, he says, potentially of that interest. Of that interest is 15 cents a share to me. Now, that's the first thing he said. All right. Then he went on to talk about, in the interview, about HNRA DSPAC. So there's HNRC, which has become Cunningham Energy, but he's talking about the HNRA DSPAC, which they sponsored, HNRA as a SPAC, and they own an interest of. He expected that to be completed later in this year, and sure enough, it was. The DSPAC hasn't been completed, but the acquisition of Pogo Producing has been completed. It was an $86 million SPAC. They bought, I wrote down Pogo Resources here. Pogo Resources. Okay, so the reason I focus on that, it's not here, but it's in a press release. They intend, CNRC intends to distribute this HNRA ownership next year as a stock distribution to shareholders of HNRC. So it's trading at 0.0285. I did the arithmetic on this. It's a $70 million asset with growth potential. So the assets are 70 million, but it has revenues, it has earnings. So the value is probably higher than 70 million to a buyer. Anyway, they're going to distribute that. That's another reason this is attractive to me. I don't understand why the stock price is so low. I do caution, it's high. All of these things are risk. He did announce a $10 million engagement with an investment bank. If that engagement is with a toxic placement agent pretender like Jeffrey Easton at Lind Partners, I'm not saying this guy isn't associated with Lind Partners, but that poses a little bit of risk. But if they distribute 15 cents, if they distribute these shares at 30 to 35 cents, and that's valued earlier in the year, I don't know. I can't figure out what's wrong with buying it for less than 3 cents today. All right. Then he went on to be quoted in the sort of toward the, well, it was at the end of his presentation. It was one of the first questions he answered in the Q&A. He said, quote, "We realized 15 cents a share from the sale of those assets. And then we will be able to dividend that out to shareholders," unquote. So those are two quotes that I hear as he intends to distribute 15 cents cash per share. But then you have to hear the last quote. But before I get to the last quote, he also said when someone asked him about a reverse split of his stock, he said, "We are evaluating all opportunities. We would prefer to uplist HNRC without a reverse split, depending on acquisitions by the end of this year." Well, obviously he hasn't announced anything yet. But if you read between the lines, he may have several announcements coming in January. That's what I would do. But there is a risk of a reverse split, clearly, if he's going to uplist. So those are two risks in the stock. Then he went on to say, someone asked him, what is your year-end earnings and net asset value of share? He said, it's on the interview, our NAV, and he didn't use that word. He said something like assets per share. But he said he said, we believe we announced it. We are looking for a year-end value of $2.60 per share in assets, $2.60. And the thing is trading under 3 cents. And then he said, we have projected 8 cents in earnings pro forma per share. So anyway, that may be announced in January. And then the final quote that he made answering questions about the dividend, and this is a little less definitive, a little less clear. He said, quote, and this I didn't get exactly, but he said, quote, the company is reviewing all of its options for additional compensation for additional dividends to shareholders. I wrote down compensation instead of shareholders dividends because he owns a large part of this, and it sticks in my mind that's a Freudian slip. That's how he compensates himself, is by dividends rather than salary. There may be tax advantages, but hey, you know me, always looking for the ghost in a story, but that's a positive to us as shareholders. All right, so we're looking at options for additional dividends to shareholders, which could include a share dividend or cash dividend, depending on our position at year end. We have been looking at it. If it's going to be cash or stock, but we haven't made that decision yet. So those are 3 quotes about the dividend contained in his interview. They lead me to believe he's going to distribute 15 cents a share cash, subject to whatever he needs to do to acquire somebody to uplist on the exchange. But I'm expecting a cash dividend. But you got the quote. All right, let's keep going. I'll finish this up, I hope, quickly. GoLogic is at 57.99. The bid ask spread is very high, but it's trading at the ask. It's 6,000 shares. That's pretty good. GoLogic, I'm not going to bore you. GoLogic is going to go through the same molting from caterpillar to butterfly, or actually 2 butterflies that Aubrey Logic through Aubrey SPAC tried to do. The difference is they are not going to have the liars, the quislings, the sting, the fraudsters who either are in Aubrey SPAC or Shandong placement agent or in the lawyers or in the sponsors, Brownstone, or in Polar and the hedge funds. We don't know who it is. It could be one or more. But that was a sting operation on you and me in CAUD. But that's over with. I'm giving Peter Boards a mulligan on it. I think that was a disaster financing that Aubrey SPAC essentially herded the company into. And then I think it was really bad that Peter Boards had no alternative, it looks like, other than to raise money at $1.29, I think, and 219 warrants. I mean, that's pitiful. That's really pitiful. But that's yesterday. It's gone. It's gone. We're going to go into the new year, and I think in CAUD, there are positives. I think if you follow him on Twitter, if you follow that he's put this collective audience brain trust together, if you realize that this funding was small, I think he's going to start breaking away from whoever were the criminals that stole, in my judgment, $150 million worth of market cap from us in CAUD. But I think Peter Boards and his team and the companies they're going to roll up, the revenues that DataLogic has, I think we're going to have an exciting year, or could, in CAUD, as long as they get away from the thieving bastards. I think they will. And I don't know who they are, but they're in there. Should be easy to isolate them. All right, so then Wolf, 244. So I guess, and that's 35 million shares. I guess those guys that bought it for a trade maybe got out at 3 million and might be coming in to finger next year. We'll see. CVM is a new name that I've added this because this one guy keeps telling me about it. It's down 276. I'm not necessarily recommending that as a trade into January, but that might be a stock to look at for a buyout. I think the criminal shorts have this under control, but if the therapy is proven, you could get a buyout. CLNV, that's actually up at 0.039. People on this stream tell me you got to buy it. I don't know. I like what they do. Northwest Bio is down a little bit at 72.24. That's a similar story. That's not a trade, but I think from what I've heard that they have a therapy that works for something. So if a large pharmaceutical comes and buys them, there's nothing the criminals can do about that. All right, let me just look at some of these others. Vocal. Vocal is up at 0.0085. I wouldn't buy Vocal, but it's possible. Well, let me say that differently. I'm not sure I'd buy it for a trade. This stock is in trouble, but it could have a bounce back. If you buy it for a trade, I would hit the sell button, double your money, triple your money, get out. Now, that is not to say if you want to accumulate Vocal as a long-term gamble, and that's all it is, for success in fighting the criminals, there's two positives as I see it. One, it seems like the CEO wants to fight, but he's got a blind spot. He kind of likes Jeffrey Easton. So I mean, that's the problem. I don't know what you do about human psychology. We all have it. We all have our blind spots. But the second thing about Vocal that I understand, if they raise this financing in this non-conventional way, they are on the verge of break even, which means their burn rate goes, net burn rate goes to zero. And that could give them time to recover. But the financing and Jeff Easton destroyed, and his clients destroyed yet another company, CRTD/Vocal. Okay, let me see. Oh, GDC. I think this one you should buy today. I can't give you specific advice, but it's $2.52. It's in the green. I think this stock is waiting for that other yellow Ledbetter stock to get enough profits to come out. I think that money's going to come to GDC. And I bet in January, maybe next week, they'll start running that stock. Oh, why do I have? Oh, I know why. I know why. I have one conservative stock here. The Sprott Physical Silver Trust, PS Paul Simon Larry Victor, is down at 810. I think that's a screaming buy at 810. That's not a trade. That's a long-term core position. The negative is it's in your brokerage account. So if a brokerage firm goes bust, you got to litigate it. The positive is it's physical silver, and it's Eric Sprott. I've never met him. I met his right-hand man, Rick Rule, up in Toronto. Spoke with him for 30 or 40 minutes, I think 40. Liked him. I think Rick Rule is now separated from Sprott Asset Management, but I trust Eric Sprott. He's a billionaire. He doesn't need to steal from you. All right, let's see if I left any out. Nope, that's it. All right. One more thing before I look at comments. One more thing. Canaccord, Ham sent this to me. Canaccord sanctioned over trading supervision, fined $500,000. Canaccord admitted that from all of 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and a little bit of 2021, it failed to comply with, let me just read it to you because it's blurry. It failed to comply with its risk management and control obligations as they related to market access by some of its direct electronic access clients, by the criminals, probably overseas, the pipes. It says that as part of the agreement, Canaccord has agreed to pay $500,000. The settlement agreement says that the compliance failure, it's a compliance failure. Remember, these are white guys. This isn't the Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton crime bill that puts dark-skinned people into jail. 3 strikes, you're out. They can't afford lawyers, for a cocaine possession, getting hooked on crack cocaine, selling too much pot to your buddy. 3 strikes, you're out under Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton. Tough guys. Remember, they're the Democrats. They're not racist. Trump's the racist. But Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden destroyed families. They imprisoned men, 2 or 3 generations of men. Not white-skinned, but they're not racist. Just remember that. They're not racist. They are not racist. But these white men had a compliance failure. What can I do? It's just a compliance failure. It was just a problem with our risk management controls. We didn't do anything wrong. We're white. We're like you. We're rich. We can afford lawyers. We went to your schools. We're good guys. We're Jeff Easton. We don't do that. Well, listen to this. The settlement agreement says the compliance failure was related to 2 clients, criminals, 2 criminals who carried out over 10,000 trades. 10,000 trades. Joe Biden, I wrote the crime bill. Sister Soldier, go and execute a mentally ill African American in out of Arkansas to show your bona fides against crime, Bill Clinton. And Hillary Clinton. These aren't normal people. These are your, I won't finish it because I can't remember it, but these are your gangsters, your thugs. These are, that was what she meant. But hey, remember, the Democratic Party is where there is no racism. Donald Trump is a racist, not Hillary, not Joe Biden. But here, Hillary Clinton gets paid by the banks. It's not going to affect her. And guess what? As long as she looked like the next president, everyone followed her lead. Janet Yellen gets paid by the banks to give speeches. So listen here. Hang on. Hang on 1 second. So listen to this. 10,000 trades. How big were those trades? How big were those trades? How many shares? What names? Anyway, they're known as wash trades. No real change of beneficial ownership, and they can be used to mislead investors about trading volume and interest in a security. Canaccord is a criminal organization. All right, do you want to go on? Do you want to go on? Let me find this. Hang on. Hang on. I had this set up for you. I've just got to get the speaker set up.
Battery 40%. Connected to Bill's iPhone.
Okay, now let me see if I can get you on. Yep, okay. All right, here's the voice. But before we start, Ham wants to wish Richard Kaufman happy birthday. I know he does.
This rotten day. Yes, happy birthday. I hope you have a wonderful day. And make sure you tell some beautiful jokes today. Well, you know what? If I live near you, I get you a joke book.
You could start at grade 5. He could understand those.
All right, everyone. This is not to buy or sell, blah, blah, blah. If the SEC is listening, F you. You're a disgrace. Anyway, today's news on the security fraud front is Canaccord out of Canada, which has been notoriously killing public companies for a long, long time. They are a disgrace. All right. And they recently tried to clean up their act, for those who don't know them, by hiring some U.S. analysts to make believe that they actually have a real business. But they really are a front for criminals to naked short back into the U.S. It's been going on for a long time, at least 20 years that I know of.
Hey, boy.
They were the executioner of all the naked short sales out of Canada going back into the U.S. So the U.S. used to give the orders to Canada, Canada back into the U.S. That was the gateway. Canaccord was the deliverer of the stock. These guys have built a company off of everyone's back in the U.S. Everyone who worked for that firm has bought beautiful homes, did this, did that, because of U.S. investors getting robbed, companies getting destroyed, all because of that. And here they are. They're going to repay us by doing 10,000 wash trades. And people, I told you before, wash trade creates false information, creates different volume, just like you see in GTI and FNGR. A wash trade, it creates the illusion that there's more volume and which way the stock is trading, and they get people to bail out accordingly. That's what a wash trade does. But all the regulators think that it's just a joke and it's no big deal. How much money was lost? What companies? 10,000 times. How much investors lost? They never say anything. It's a joke. And I'll tell you again, if you think you're putting all your money, or you want to come to the casino, you better be aware of what you're doing and who you're playing against. The deck is stacked completely against us. And if it wasn't for people like Anna, Busy Brands, William, Richard, Ace, and all these people, we would never have a chance to fight back. Pat Byrne was the leader. He moved on. He's on to political things. He squeezed his stock and he left. All right. So We got left with the shit show to clean it up. That's our job. If you want to save your family and enhance your lifestyle using equity investments, you got to fight. I know it's a pain in the ass every day. You know, I go on night with Ace after I speak with William and everybody else in between. And I just keep, because we have to end this.
Hey, Ace, stop stealing my moves. Just
Yeah.
kidding. Just kidding.
And it's just, you know, listen, everybody working together. I hope Anna and Busy, listen, keep us up on any new signatures you get. If I didn't have some family issues, I would come to DC and break down every door for you. But I can't get there. But again, that's, if you just got two people on the ground and politely go knock on the doors with some nice documentation, I'm sure that they would all sign it. All right. And just keep getting it. Get it over 100. Get one a day. Don't pay attention to Gasparino, the guy from Virtue. They're just trying to get you off the case. Stick with getting the people in DC to fight for you. They don't even know why they're fighting. But guess what? Now they signed those documents. As William says, what is seen cannot be unseen. Just keep retweeting that stuff. Anyway, go ahead, William.
Well, what I'm amazed about, you didn't say it yet, but I know you would, but imagine that these 10,000 trades, they're not 100 shares each. They're probably thousands of shares, tens of thousands shares each.
Listen, spoofing is very easy to do. Everybody on the phone can do it. I put up a crime from 2012 about some high frequency traders. They were marking up the closes, or distorting the closing prices, and they got busted for doing that. I'm just saying, every angle is there's no one watching this whole thing. The brokers that take the orders, besides the firms that are doing it, like the brokers at Canaccord, should all be fired and lose their license for letting those trades to happen. Whoever was in charge of that thing. And they should actually get a criminal charge against them. It's just basically looting. And all these techniques, everybody knows, it's not some guy in Thailand or South Korea figured this out. These are U.S. hedge funds that know they have their fancy lawyers working, skirting around the issues so they don't go to jail. And that's who's doing this stuff. And what have they done? They've taught other people who have now set up offshore. So now we have people from the Middle East doing it, from Brazil. Everyone knows the game. It's steal all you can. No one stops anybody.
This was over 4 years, 10,000 trades, but they don't tell us which stocks they destroyed or hurt. So you don't know who to sue. I mean, it's
just think about this. A stock is $1.10. They spoof it, wash it, make all these trades look like it's breaking $1. The stock goes below $1. Then the company gets a delisting requirement from the officials, say you don't meet the price requirement. Now the company's got to put a press release out, and now the people can see, oh, the company's being delisted off of the NASDAQ or whatever, and the stock gets killed, all because it led with the spoofing and the fake trade to walk down to put the stock below a certain price. Like, for some crazy reason, the naked shorts in GTII want the stock below 40. I don't know what it is, but they've been crossing and washing. And for those who are not paying attention, the reported naked short number, it's at its lowest point ever. Usually that's a sign. What they're trying to say is, oh, we're not doing it anymore. These are longs bailing out. But there's nobody selling it. All I hear is people buying it, and it still goes lower. William, think of this. How can a stock go lower when there's no selling? Well, washing, spoofing, there you go. That's how they do it.
And you just slowly walk it down.
That's it.
I was thinking of it yesterday when I was walking my dog. I didn't know how to express it. But the thing with selling non-existent shares or fail to locate shares, you can keep selling them. These same criminals, I bet if they could just buy with counterfeit money, they might drive stocks up because they could keep buying with counterfeit money over and over again. But they can't do that. The only thing they can do is drive them down, because that's where the counterfeiting is allowed by your regulators.
You cannot buy stocks without money. End the conversation. These guys can't cover the short sales, the illegal sales they had, because they don't have enough money to cover them back. And that's why you get this continued pressure.
Right. And no
Because
one
they cannot
cares.
do it.
No one cares. One guy just, I think he did it in a friendly way, but he's telling me not to be negative, but it's depressing. I don't have a, hey, what me worry attitude. You're being robbed. Everybody here is being robbed, including me and him. And you know what? When I look back on all the money I raised for over-the-counter companies, other clients of mine were robbed. And I don't know how to be smiley happy about it, but anyway.
Well, listen, the only thing we can do is keep doing what we're doing. I'm telling you, as much as everyone on this phone call knows we're getting robbed, so does the Secret Service and the FBI, all right? And the DOJ along with that. These SEC, 100% those are being robbed. They just don't know what to do. They're a deer in the headlight. They can't even answer a question about MMTLP for over a year. So,
well, they're not willing to answer. They're not willing to answer.
How do you feel? You got to come out and tell the world, hey, oh yeah, the whole equity market's full of counterfeit shares, and we're not doing our job. And think of all the heads that are going to roll when that comes out.
Exactly.
So, but the problem is, it's going to come out. They can't hide it anymore. That's the problem, and that's why Gasparino and other stooges are coming out attacking people, because they know this is the way to open it up. You know. So I give credit to Anna for going down to DC and making it happen. All the people that showed up and tried to help out. This is what's going on. And it goes down as one of the greatest attacks that we ever had in this battle. It was this slow, meticulous signing by all these regulators. And now that the people signed it, now it just gains momentum. And it makes my job easier reporting it to law enforcement. Saying, hey, man, if you don't believe that there's a problem here, how come these guys can't answer these questions, right?
Well,
that's all you have to.
You know where it's going to start ending is when these pools of money stop giving these consistent high rates of return, which are impossible. But when that stops and people start losing money and they start pulling money from managed accounts and big hedge funds, that's when all of this is going to stop, and they're going to start asking for answers to what happened. That's my opinion.
Well, let me just I just wanted to rehash two things I spoke about last night. Naked short selling and the crimes, the counterfeiting and all this whole nonsense. There's so many different little twists to the crime, spoofing, washing, you see that. But also they do it on secondary offerings of big companies. And you say, what does that mean? Let's say Walmart is $200 and they want to raise money. All the brokers, let's say Goldman's doing the secondary. They call up all their hedge funds and say, hey, we're doing a secondary for Walmart. How many shares would you like? And the first thing they say to them is, where do you think the pricing is going to go up? Where do you think this is going to be priced at? And they'll say, hey, you know what? Maybe 195. And the stock's 200. You then say to the guy at Goldman as the hedge fund, hey, put me in for 1 million shares. I'll do 1 million shares, right? What do they start doing? They start naked shorting the stock at 200, 199, 198, 197. And let's say they stop shorting it at 196. And the pricing of the secondary is that night. The stock closes at 196. Goldman's going to call Walmart up and say, hey, you know what? The stock is 196. We can't do this at 195 anymore. We can do it at 190. And Walmart will say, okay, make it 190. So now the hedge fund, Millennium Capital, by the way, did this exact thing. You can Google it. Millennium Capital in New York City got caught for doing this on a secondary offering. Now that they shorted, let's say, that 1 million shares at a 197 average, they're buying it back on the secondary offering, not at 195. They're buying it at 190. So now the crime is Walmart was defrauded out of $5 due to pricing, right? All the hedge funds are laughing. Instead of making $1.50, a few dollars on the trade, now they're making $7. And if you read about it, Millennium Capital, it's a $10 billion fund out of New York City. They all do that. How do I know they do that? Because I worked on a trading desk, and when we did a deal, we called around and tried to get people to buy into it. Now, I didn't think about them shorting against it, devious, because I was a rookie at the time. But down the road, I figured out, hey, these guys are shorting it. No wonder they're well, oh, don't give me 50,000 shares, give me 250,000 shares, because that's what they're doing. That's another way.
It's called syndicate, and I did syndicate. I had clients that did this. I didn't understand, just like Cam says, I didn't understand all the mechanics of it. But these funds that come to you and say they can give you rates of return, they're just cheating. They're just, but it's allowed because the banksters pay off the government and the politicians and the regulators.
Well, the one thing I would show the regulators, and the reason I'm bringing all these points up, because there's many other avenues that these guys do whatever they can.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm just reading. Someone sent me a thing. It says SEC top enforcement says tougher penalties are working. Working for what?
Working for the revolving door out of SEC to top law firms and top hedge funds.
Yeah, I'm reading this thing. But I'm just trying to show you, and you say, okay, naked short selling, counterfeiting again. How do they do it with an IPO? Go read Uber's IPO. For example, I think Morgan Stanley was the culprit there. Uber went public, right? And they told the management that they needed to naked short some of the stock into the opening prices. When the stock opened at 40, started to run to 42, 45, they were naked shorting it, Morgan Stanley. And then the stock crapped out. It went from 42 all the way down to 30, I think it went down to. And guess what? Morgan Stanley, who counterfeited, naked shorted into the IPO. Okay, they said it was legal. They would have bought it back at the price, the predetermined price, which I think was $39, if they wanted to buy it back, right? Morgan Stanley never bought it back, which would have gave the company more money at $39, right? Because they had to buy it from the company. Instead, they let it play out in the marketplace. The stock went to 30. So Morgan Stanley made a quick $10 on who knows how many shares.
That sounds like what they did to Facebook.
And they did it. Facebook was different. I wrote a report on Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook went public. They beat the shit out of it. Everyone wrote a story that Facebook has no way to generate revenue. They don't know what to do about generating revenue. So they drove it all the way down to $18. And you say, why did they drive it down so low? I think it was north of 40, 50 bucks, whatever it was. And what happened after 6 months? Insiders were allowed to sell. They took out all the insiders, people that were there for how many years it was in the workings, all right? So if you were the janitor and you owned 50,000 shares and you wanted to sell it, instead of selling it at 50, you sold it at $18 because that was the first chance you got to sell it. After they took out those people at $18, Facebook came out, everybody came out with a story, how positive and how this company is going to be a beast. So they drove it down on fake stories, then they bought it, and then they drove it up on stories that they were making up the other way. And I sent the thing to Zuckerberg at the time, telling you we're defrauded. I tried my best. I did it. And that's on a IPO. And that was the trading after the IPO. And I remember it like it was yesterday. So there's many techniques to the crime. But again, it all stems from one thing: stock settlement. They can't play the game without stock settlement. Spoofing and washing is a little tougher. Okay. but the actual illegal of naked shorting stocks and not settling them for everyone, that you settle the trades and all that crime goes away.
It's just, I don't know. I guess some people can be happy with this, but it just depresses me, just the extent of the criminality.
Well, listen, you can't get depressed about it. All right. It could get you down here and there, but you know what, William? You're here for a different reason. I granted we all need money. I got it. But you want to know something? I feel like if we can just do this, that I've done the greatest service I can. I never joined the military. My family, friends did. I didn't. And you know what? Fighting for this country and my kids and my grandson, I feel like I have to do this. You know, if it means I got to take a bullet, what's going to be? That's what it is. I'm on the front line. I'm not backing down. I'm going to law enforcement, you know, and I'm doing whatever I can. There's nothing else. Listen, if you can't handle the heat, you got to get out of the kitchen. It's not easy. The bashes come at you. They call you family names, this name, that name. You're a crook, you're butcher. Who cares? I don't care.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not like I'm going for a job anywhere. So I don't really care.
that's our generation didn't really join the military, but you're right. We have to give back. Right,
So
that's
there's
well
nothing else
said.
to say. We can't walk away. If you want to walk away, I got it. It sucks. I know people that made money and have walked away, and they were all gung ho. But you know what? After 2 years of fighting, you know, they quit. I can't blame them. I told Honor the same thing. I said, be careful. Don't get consumed. Don't let it drive you. Don't make it kill you. It's a tough thing to do every day. You know, and I said, take a time off. You got to take a break.
Yeah,
I went and played pickleball this morning. It's beautiful out, so I went and played ball. So now I'm coming home. Does the market close at 2 today?
2:00. I don't know how to play pickleball,
William, you got to go to the pickleball court.
and that means I have to start
Yes.
exercising.
Just go stand there like a statue, and all the women will help you out. You can find 100 dates.
Ugh.
That's all you need. There you go.
Are
You
they?
don't need any money. You need a stupid green ball and a paddle, and just go stand there.
Will
That's
they
all you
be
have to do.
pitted dates?
Excuse me?
Will they be pre-pitted dates?
Yeah. Well, so any questions from anybody?
Well, let's
Anybody
see what
understand?
the questions are. Not legal advice says, Happy New Year to you. He also says action beats depression. I agree. Somebody says the market does not close early today. You're wrong. It closes at 2. Well, maybe I looked it up. December 29th. Is today December 29th? It says
Yes.
2:00. But maybe I'm an idiot and I found the wrong page to look at. I won't.
Maybe you found it from, maybe that was 10 years ago. It closed under.
Bond market closes at 2.
Yeah, the bond market always closes.
Let me see. I could. You know what? I'm often wrong.
Listen, this is Fraud Street. They're going to try to keep it open and steal every penny they can to the end of the year.
Let me just look at the New York Stock Exchange hours. Maybe I saw the bond market instead. All right. And then what do you think of ZJ Yellow Ledbetter, ZJYL today? Is it going to settle down or spike?
You're asking me? Flip a coin. I don't know.
It says 9:30 to 4 p.m. Maybe it was, I read the bond market. Let me see. New York Stock Exchange hours today. Core trading session. The core trading session is 9:30 to 4. So I'm wrong. I
told you, Fraud Street needs to steal everybody's as many pennies as they can.
I didn't
Wall
have
Street is
to
about
come on
pennies,
early.
and I keep telling you that.
I didn't have to come on early. Oh, well. I guess that's back before computers. When you had human beings, it closed early. Now it's all computerized. they can do their thieving from the Cayman Islands. Who will win the Florida State Georgia game tomorrow?
All right. I can't answer that question. Everybody knows the answer to that one.
It closes at 4. I was wrong. So I
No.
apologize to whoever I said. I
Really,
must
if you were
have.
wrong about the close of the market, how many other things are you wrong about? Are you right? Do you think there's a naked short in the stock? Maybe you're wrong about that too.
Well, I didn't know who was the CEO of NextBridge, and that meant that all my advice on the naked shorting is all wrong because I didn't know the name of the new CEO. All right. Legal advice says next year will not be the same pattern.
Wow.
No, he didn't say that. He said, I hope 2024 will not be the same pattern.
Well, I just looked at ZJYL. My friend who's been playing it, he believes that the longs are going to try to squeeze this thing to ungodly numbers. So let's see what happens. If you do buy it and you buy a dip, sell the rip. If you bought it yesterday, 185, you could have sold it up $70, $80 this morning. That's a rip. And it pulls back, you can buy the dip. Do it 3 or 4 times, making $50 a trade. That means that, 4 times you basically own whatever you have for free.
Yeah.
Think about doing that. If you wanted to play something crazy, there's a lot of people that like to play crazy, but good luck.
So I was wrong about the market. They have until 4 o'clock to keep stealing.
That's what they do. It's always that way. It's always that way. And let me just go back and just now I'm sitting in front of quotes, finger motion. All right.
Yeah.
You saw the assault yesterday, tried to knock it down, selling to 250, whatever it was, marking it down on a 450 day, 450,000. Today we have 189,000 shares traded. I can guarantee you probably, I'll say 160 of it was probably fake, make-believe trades back and forth on a day like this. And you say, what makes you say that? You got some pair of balls to say that. Well, the stock is 398 to 399, 200 by 400. You tell me what's going on. Nothing is going on. There you go. I just pointed it out. Nothing is going on. And GTII, to continue to assault, to try to knock it down. Who's waiting to 12 o'clock, December 29th? You got 3 hours to go for the 4 hours to go and the year's over to hurry up and try to get a tax loss and try to sell it down. Nobody is. This is the shorts trying to manipulate it lower. That's all they're trying to do.
One person is buying that ZJYL. I don't know. I wouldn't buy it. But anyway, it's up to you.
The only way I would do it is if you see them attack it real quick, then you jump in, and then when it runs back up real quick, as soon as you buy it, if I paid 175 for it, I throw it out there at 218. And when the stock runs, you got to put your order out there. It's the only way to sell this thing. So don't wait and try to hit a bid. Just put it out there on the offer side, because this is a fast market in this thing. So just be smart about it.
I think GDC might be the one to buy, just hoping once this one's over, GDC runs. But
so I had a conversation last night, and Ace bailed out of GDC, a small position, not a major holder. He's just playing for fun. And he jumped into Wolf because it's been trading so great. Traded 100-something million shares in 2 days, breaking out, ready to go. And here it is today, it was over 3. And think about that, 100-something million shares traded between 250 and probably 3.25. And they marked it down to 230 on 37 million more shares today, down 70 cents. So, I feel bad. Ace jumped from GDC, which wasn't doing well, into Wolf, which acted great, and they just pulled the plug on it. That is Fraud Street. Those stocks trade. showing strength of tremendous strength. You want your volume, you got your volume. You want to see the strength, you got your strength. And the next day it's down and it's like no big deal. No big deal. Stocks never trade like this. I never seen stock. And I make a point, back in the day, finger motion was 7.18, 7.25. I always look down bar charts. I'm not a stock guy, a chart guy, excuse me. And it was 100% buy every day. I put it up. I says, I don't know anything about it, but this stock has got 100% buy. It's the momentum is like outstanding, to the moon. Everything is going great. Slow move up. Capybara comes out with the report. They bash it to 4 5/8. Continues selling. Has not stopped since that point. It went from 100% buy. Looks great. Due to security fraud, and went completely flip-flopped, and now they pounded it down to $4.50 to $4. That's the pattern. And now Finger Motion has 10,000, 11,000 for sale at $4 again. It's like, don't let it go past 4. Like, who cares? But they can't have it go up at all costs.
Well said. Let's see. I don't see many questions, so we have to come up with our own questions.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, all right, William, pick a number between 1 and 2. Pick a number.
1.999997.
That is the winning number. Let's see how we can make numbers that you can't get change from. The stock market is a money settled in money, and no one has an idea. How do you get change from 39453, whatever number that is? Why would they have right now? GTI is 3901 to 3960. How do you get change from 3901? If I were to buy it there, how do I pay for it? What is that number? Investors don't do that. Those are market makers and crooks.
It's almost like these overeducated, over Harvard MBA guys started thinking ahead, and they got the Merrill Lynch rule put in. They got decimalization. They removed the uptick rule. They got rid of physical securities in the system, and they bought the regulators. It seems like they had this in plan for years.
Right. Oh, this has been going on a long time. It just keeps. Listen, my younger brother worked at the depository trust. All right. And at the DTC, the people that work at the DTC all come from back offices of Wall Street. So that is the final resting stop for all these back office guys. Right.
Right.
And there you go.
Maybe we should go get a job there. Just join in.
It's the back office. Every criminal in the back office is working there.
I just don't know how we change it. It'll get there. It's just one piece of sand at a time. We'll move the beach.
Yeah. What else you got?
There's no questions.
Nothing. No one. Is there anybody listening to you?
Well, yeah. Mike Lang is asking: is the CEO of Finger doing anything to fight the bad actors?
Yes, I saw him. He's got a samurai sword. He's running down the street. I don't know what he's doing. I have no idea. If you got an idea how to fight to go after the bad actors, why don't you tell us? Give me a hint. I don't know what they're doing. Everything they can. Of course they're doing. They hired Mark Bazile to go after Capybara, right?
Yeah.
Capybara wrote the story for somebody, correct? They just didn't say, "Oh, let me wake up and do this story." That's how you got to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Who are they working for? So the company's doing everything, and they have to do it according to the financial system, going to the courts. Look what you have to do. It's crazy.
Not Legal Advice wants you to know that he thinks some of the hedge funds may not be acting in the best interest of retail.
Say it again.
Not legal advice. His opinion is that some of the hedge funds may not be acting in the best interest of retail investors.
No kidding.
Um,
Where did you learn that, in law school?
why is enforcement so hesitant to put out press releases against naked shorting?
All right, I'll say it again. This is the biggest crime in U.S. history. And fixing it will destroy so many things. Banks, hedge funds, people, it's mayhem behind the scenes.
Yep.
But you can destroy them one at a time is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
All right. We're bringing the attention to finger motion and GTII and MMTLP, right?
Yeah.
So that's how you beat them. And they, hold on. I'm just putting up this story on Twitter. I just can't believe I'm reading this nonsense. SEC top enforcer says tougher penalties are working. Gray Wall, the SEC Enforcement Division Chief, said higher fines are leading in some cases. Some. What case is that? To positive changes in behavior. Well, let me address that for 1 second. I'm sorry, guys. It's on my mind and I can't help it.
It's better than one of my rants.
I just want to make sure I address this. But I just want, again, hold on 1 second. I need to basically, I'd just like to thank Busy Brands introducing us to a technology guy that's actually helping design all these trucks and all these signs and everything. I can't do it. I don't know how. This guy is on crack. All right, that's the head of the SEC enforcement. Anyway, I feel better now. All right, I called the head of enforcement a crackhead. So again, the guy says that behavior is positive changes in behavior. Oh, the guys that got caught? Everybody else is laughing.
They're just congratulating themselves.
Hold on, you hold on. Uber IPO. I just like when we talk about something, I like to put the story up so people. And here's the story in Forbes: the naked shorting in the Uber IPO couldn't happen on blockchain. No shit. How's that one?
But they're not going to
Who's the
approve blockchain.
What's that?
They're not going to approve trading on blockchain.
No, they don't expose the whole thing. Hold on, I'm just sorry. And
That's
when I
all
hear
right.
that,
It's better than one of my rants. They would rather listen to you.
I'm just putting up stories that when I see it, I want people to understand it. I posted it on Twitter about the Wall Street Journal story about the enforcement saying everything is okay now.
It's all right. Take your time. Take your time.
I said they counterfeit everything. I forgot, what's the symbol for Uber? I forgot. Is it UBER? I forgot the symbol. Does anyone know?
LYFT.
No. Uber Technologies, is that what it is? EBER. I forgot the symbol.
I don't know. I never traded it. I hail it all the time, but I never traded it.
So I basically put it up to Uber IPO. They naked shorted that. They did this. They did that. You name it. I forgot. with this new, when you put something on Twitter now, you don't get to see the headline of the story unless you click on it. Here you go. Broad Street steals and IPOs. So I got that down. Anyway, I got a bunch of stuff out of my mind. Again, I put a bunch of things that I think are going to happen for Finger Motion in the coming weeks. The 12th, which is I think is 8 trading days away, is the earnings. We're waiting for SEC for enforcement to come back and tell us the details of how they're going to attack this criminal operation. That's coming. Hopefully the company could come out with a special dividend. I told you big investors have screamed to the company about doing it. Let's see if they act on it. What else? I had something else I can remember. The MMTLP thing is just basically, you listen, what we see in Finger or GTII tells me that they're doing it from offshore. There's no fear. Just like Pete from Philly says, this is all being done offshore. These guys are gonna, when their doorbell comes, when they start following the paper trail, these straw companies, straw LLCs, as they say, will all disappear, and the street will be stuck with all these messes.
This is a good point from Moody Waters and Joseph Kurtz. Thinking of Tony Twits with all of this MMTLP lies and bullshit. Prayers for him and his family. Tony Twits passed away this year.
Wait, so what are they making fun of him?
Well, he was fighting like you are, MMTLP, and he had a really good following. He was a pretty low-key guy, but he got out in front of it and he passed away. He's a young man.
I didn't know they didn't poison him.
That's exactly right.
That's why when I eat, I make my wife test everything first.
I'm going to start eating at McDonald's, just like.
So when me and KYP play and we go get a slice of pizza at L&B, I'm going to have to make it taste it first.
A slice of pizza sounds good right now. I wish we had New York pizza in DC.
That's why you live. That's why if you want that, come here. I played pickleball with the gentleman that owns Prince Street Pizza. It's a very famous place.
Is that the square one?
He's got a famous square one. Now L&B is one from Brooklyn, but Prince Street's got a different version of a square. It's a pepperoni square, I think, and he always invites me up to go get a slice with them. But getting around Soho is not easy these days. Anything else?
I'm looking, Tim.
I put up the story about naked shorting in the Uber IPO. It couldn't happen on blockchain. Interesting. Go back to the exchange I wanted to start. It was going to be blockchain settlement. Remember? That's what I'm presenting to South Korea. Right, so blockchain would eliminate all this stuff.
Is there an update on the movie? I just realized the woman, right now I'm forgetting her name. She reached out. She wants my, biography, which I can't imagine a more boring thing. I'll try to get that out to her this weekend. But do you know anything about the movie?
Yeah, she's reaching out to you, William. She wants your biography.
So I'm holding it all up.
You're the one holding it up.
All right, I'll get it done.
Here's a story for everybody. Listen, Mark Falk, F-A-U-L-K, is on Twitter. People reach out to me. These guys are not.
How do you spell fork?
F-A-U-L-K.
Interesting. Okay.
You met with him.
Yeah. He's a great guy. Great team. Incredible team.
Hold on a second. They all do it. Hold on. If you guys are following me on Twitter, I put Millennium settles charges of illegal short selling in advance of stock offering. Huh. Isn't that an easy way to make money, William?
Well, I knew that because my office did a lot of syndicate, and also when I was overseas, I met people who did it. And so I knew there was this field where they would sell stock they didn't own and cover it in the offering. But I didn't know it was throughout the whole bloody market.
They all do it. It's massive. Everyone does it.
So the
I just said-
whole syndicate market, when companies go to Morgan Stanley, they go to these
I'm
banksters,
going to give you an
they get
example.
ripped off.
I'm going to get right. Right. You think about it, how many shares that they, I gave you an example of, Walmart doing it at 200, eventually doing the trade instead of 195, they're doing it at $195. Let's say it's, 100 million shares.
Yeah.
Those guys do big deals. And when the stock goes down, the Goldman Sachs is going to say, hey man, I don't know, your stock's just going down. What do you want us to do? And they manipulate it down. That's how it's done. So there's an example of a $10 billion fund run by Izzy Englander, very famous guy. He was an option guy in the American Stock Exchange. Naked shorting, just trying to steal a couple $100,000. It's free money. Now, Izzy wasn't doing it, but every trader on the desk is doing it because he got the call. He looked around and says, I'll just sell some stock and buy it back. That's what they all do. And if stock settled, he wouldn't be able to do it and manipulate the stock.
Ace is taking responsibility for Wolf being down today.
He murdered all my friends. Ace, tell him thank you. He's the guy that sunk the ship. I just trying to listen, Ace. It happens all the time. That's why I didn't want to say it to you last night, but I'm not a jumper. Once I do something, I kind of wait to see if there's a pullback. But listen, I didn't know if it was going to pull back and continue. I believe it's still going to go, but it's just a shame that you're just seeing how awful it is and how hard it is. On a different note, I had this piece of information about ZJYL. And Ace, the short sellers in ZJYL are selling through Velocity. If you want to look at it, Velocity Trading. They do international execution. Ta-da! There's your naked short in ZJYL. So somebody is selling it from offshore using Velocity Trading. They're looking the other way and letting these guys naked short this stock I think it's pretty sizable now, maybe 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 shares that someone's going to get destroyed on. So if the people that I know where it's coming from, I think the plan is to basically vaporize whoever is doing this. So it is an interesting thing that I forgot that piece of information. I'm sorry.
Well, this is our economy now, is just turning everything into trading pork bellies. And good luck against China, Russia.
So, all right. Well, listen, every country, even Canada, Susan Trimbat put out a post last night. The Canadian authorities are trying to do forced settlement, make sure that buy-ins are mandatory buy-ins. What I tell you about mandatory buy-ins, if we own our own firm and we do self-clearing, mandatory buy-ins. We put Robinhood out of business. Robinhood is $11 billion.
Let's call it, maybe that's the name of our firm, mandatory buy-ins.
We're going to call it Tony Hood. We'll call it something in Buy-in Hood. That's what we're going to name it so everybody knows. We'll take care of, we'll make fun of Robinhood as we put them out of business.
We can call
and
it
all we're going to do is
Brooklyn Buy-in.
Everything that Robinhood does, we will basically all day long tell people to leave Robinhood. Why would you want to stay there? And just think about it, if all the GTI holders or finger motion holders had accounts at whatever firm we choose, there'd be no naked shorting because we would force them to be called in all the time. We control the deck. Think about that. Not Fidelity, not E-Trade, no one else. So if everybody wanted to fight back, we can all do it at the same place and control it. So there's many ways to skin a cat. I didn't want to get into the brokerage business, but I'm making every attempt to do it as fast as we can. The people that I'm speaking to, there's two parties. One has a BD, he's not self-clearing, but he can become self-clearing. He's dying to do it. He hates the shorts. So there's people that have interest in this. So I just need to, the holidays have been a pain in the ass because people travel and we keep missing each other. But we caught the attention of some good people here, so it's a good idea. Or we could sit back, William, and do nothing and all cry. Right?
These jokes, suddenly the jokes are at a level where they're very hard to laugh at. Boat bum married his wife for her looks, but not the look she's been giving him lately. That sounds like a bad Rodney Dangerfield.
No, don't ever piss on Rodney. He's the best.
I know, I liked Rodney.
So we were looking at finger motion. There was the 10,000, 11,000 shares offered at 4. The spoof, then they offered at 99, 98. Now there's 1,997. There's no activity in the stock. And these guys have spoofed, lowered, and just basically making it look like there's sellers on top of sellers, and everyone's standing in front of it. If I owned 1,900 shares and I wanted to sell it, would I sit here all day waiting to sell it at 397? I just hit the stupid 396 bid for a penny and go home, right?
Yeah,
that tells you it's shorts by shorts. They're standing here. The same thing in GTII. How do we know GTI is the same thing? It's 39.01 bid. They're 01. You hint. Offered at 399. Right. They don't want it to trade at 40. It's funny. 40 and fingers 4. Wonder what that means. I don't know.
Is this algorithmic trading, is it something magical, or is it just there for shorts to slowly chip away and chisel and swindle people?
I think that the algorithms, like on Finger, all right, whoever's playing the game here, it's doing it. It's programmed to do 20% of the crime.
Right.
80% is done by an individual that is actually watching it and moving the market makers.
Right.
But I don't believe. I think that the system it's set up that if the stock starts to go up, the algorithm kicks in and it has seller orders in there. No buy orders, sell orders. So I don't think it kicks in until you see volume start to trade. Then all of a sudden, if volume starts to trade, all of a sudden the sellers show up. Correct?
Right.
Right now, there's not a seller and there's no sellers. It's not even trading. And GTI, the volume just keeps swelling. We're up to 529 now. Yeah, 529. In the last few minutes, another 29,000 shares traded. I don't know where, but it's trading in the middle here. I never saw a market where a stock, when you take the offer of 2,500 shares, it never moves. It just gets, as soon as you buy it at 3,999,
look at the bid, 0.3901, 79,071. Who the hell? And then the ask is
at 7,971, and it's 2,500 offered at 3,999. And I'm looking at it. The difference in money between that spread is basically nothing, right?
But who bids for 7,971? That's just communication.
Yeah, no, that's the short bidding. The 39.01 is your hint, and the market at 39.99 is your hint. That's the shorts on both sides.
Yeah. I mean,
so again, if I was long and I wanted to, and I was thinking of selling, I would never offer it at 3,999 because I could just sell it at 3,901, and it's less than a penny.
Way less than a penny. It's 0.0001 of a penny.
So why would you sit around? So the shorts are just making a market, and the market they're making is because they want to sell stock back and forth to each other. That's the market they're making.
And that's why the volume is so high.
Because they're just going back and forth. Today is a washing day.
Poor guys. Everyone else is on vacation and they're stuck just going back and forth.
That's what they're doing. There's some idiot sitting in Yugoslavia, wherever the hell he is, doing this trade, and they're doing it offshore. And Lynn Partners communicates with them, and the Kramers communicate, or Alpine communicates with the guy in GTII. And Wolf, it's Yorkville, and the SEC doesn't see a thing. And Graybeard said that, Graywald, whatever his name is, he's saying everything's fine. The bigger penalties are working. I'm just trying to look at quotes. I'm sorry if I'm keeping busy.
That's all right.
Now, I have no idea on
Other than my
MULN,
rants.
how many shares are left in the company, or what the price, what the relationship is, but the reverse has destroyed everybody in here.
There's
I
a
hope this
stock
guy-
here for you, Ham. The normal volume is 7.2 thousand. It's traded 35 million today. It's up $5, up 300%. Sam, Nancy, Tom Golden. Sam, Nancy, Tom Golden.
That's pretty interesting. The average 90-day volume for that gentleman who just gave us to that one, and I appreciate it.
Bunny
Is-
Chico.
What do you think the 90-day volume is, William? Take a guess.
I'm gonna say 100,000 a day.
You're close. That was the best guess you ever made. But you're still off by 95%.
5,000 a day.
5,000 a day. Is there any news on that? Could that gentleman tell me before I go chasing it around?
Santage Holdings announces financial results for the year on 12/22. That's all I see.
Mhm.
Let me see. Total operating revenue 82 million in the 6 months ended June.
Right.
That I don't know what the heck is. Net loss was 1 million. They lost 46, but that was June. I don't know. Let's see. Do you know anything, Bunny Chico, about why it's up?
Does he know?
Yeah, he's not answering, but he will, I'm sure.
I'm just putting it up there.
Hey, MULN's up.
Yeah, I just didn't know that. I don't know the numbers of MULN. I don't know it. The stock's up $5.
Yeah,
on
they
35
announced
shares.
they delivered 50 electric cargo vans.
That's what.
So I think that's a sucker's rally, but we'll find out. They have 1.58 million in the float, according to
Right.
Mark. So I don't.
I said I wrote it's all normal. I guess nobody knows what they do.
I'm skipping a question by someone on purpose, I guess. I don't want to ask you this question. I don't know what one it is. All right, let me see.
Well, the answer to
This
that
is the question,
The
Ham.
answer to that question is maybe.
Ham, this is the question that I don't want to ask you. So I'm not going to ask it of you. Is it fair to say stay away from stocks that quote unquote private equity has their goons on the board ready to destroy the company from within?
The goons are on the board. The board of what? Of the public company?
Yeah, of the public company and the private equity.
Well, if they're on the public company, listen, I don't think they all, if they're on the, listen, you go to join a board of a public company, you got to be a real gangster to be doing that. So I don't think that they would join a board of directors. If they're on the board posting on Twitter, if someone's going to fight them, then I would go fight them.
So Bunny is going to check with his friend why it's up. Mr. T wonders if you make it to the International Pickleball Champions, would you wear a hairpiece while you played?
I hope the SEC pays us a whistleblowing fine. I would use the money to fly everybody to a private party and then donate the rest to charity. And I would wear the worst toupee in creation.
I read Andre Agassi's autobiography, and he
Yeah,
had to
wear his
wear a wig, and he finally gave it up. But how do you keep it on while you're sweating?
You know what? This is the funniest thing. Growing up, and the people that used to wear the toupees, we used to always make fun of them because you could see their sweat. Their sweat is on the lower part of their head, like where your ears are, or the hairline is still real, and then the rest of it's all dry.
Oh,
So I always vowed that I wouldn't do that if I lost my hair. I only lost a few strands. Cut it out already. You guys call me. I'm not complete. I'm not bald like Michael Jordan or anything like that.
well, I had a friend that I hadn't seen for a long time. Great guy. He went way up at to the very top of the State Department. I walked in one time to see him. He was sitting down, and I said, "Tom, you're losing your hair," because he had this big bald spot. So he stood up. He's a big, tall guy. Stood up, and he said, "At least I can see the top of your head." So he put me in my place. That's what I think of Michael Jordan.
Hey, listen, again, busy. If Hannah is listening, have you guys have any new updates on the signatures? I like to be kept up, whether it's 71, 73. Someone said it was 85, and I just need confirmation. I'd like to know if anyone's seen that.
We just need to get one senator as well, like Senator Crapo, and all of a sudden it could break down. They don't want, the regulatory bodies don't want to give the numbers because it'll put a lie to the fact that this isn't a problem across all companies. You know, imagine if Wall Street couldn't do this. How would they get people to invest in hedge funds and mutual funds and ETFs?
Well, they make everyone put money into the market for your pension as a tax break, right?
Yeah.
So each month, fresh money keeps coming in because people keep putting it in. And I'm telling you that if you're lucky and you guys have a good money manager and he's navigated the fraud end of the market and he's done well with NVIDIA and Walmart and Costco and the 5 stocks that they take up, if you have someone that does own those things and your pension's gone up 50% or 60%, I'm telling you, sell it out, go to the sidelines. If the market gets wiped out one day, why would you give up your 50% gains? You can sell it, go on the sidelines. When the market drops, let's say the market drops 20%, you can step back in. You're still up to 50 and you get a free slate.
Did you say this? Or it might have been somebody else. It might have been Pedro P. I wrote it down. It's a quote I wrote down from listening to somebody. It might have been you. The beauty of a short squeeze is the detachment from the fundamentals. You might not have said that.
That's very obvious. All right, so we have a change in the game here. The game GTII is like a hockey match now. It's end-to-end action. It was bid 3901 for 7,000 blank shares. I forgot the number. Someone hit the 3901 bid for that amount, and now the 3901 offer is the exact amount. How's that one? So what they did is they sold it to themselves, and then the guy who bought it at 3901 saying, "Oh my God, I didn't want to buy this. I wanted to sell this." So now he goes on the offer side. So that wash trade now is a trade, and it basically now has a seller there at 3901. And this is how they can move stocks down without any trades. There you go. And you got to see it in real time just now.
Well, that stock that you said had 5,000 on its float. I got to find the symbol. SNTG.
Sam, Nancy, Tom, George.
Yeah.
Sam, Nancy, Tom, George.
Bunny Chico came back. There is no news, but it's a low float Chinese stock. That sounds like GDC.
Ah. Well, I do think that GDC is going to go shortly. I just don't know when. Now I know it's going to go for sure because Ace sold out. So we got rid of the anchor. We got rid of the anchor. Now it's like we did an exorcism. We got rid of the devil. Now we can go.
Yeah. You can't. The problem trading like that is you can't always be right. It's just if you don't have enough money to be in all of them, it's just tough to sell one to be in the other.
So listen, I picked the wrong spot to get into GDC. Ace picked the wrong spot to get into Wolf. We all do it. He got out of, it's a head game. But the one thing I do, if you're not happy with your position, don't be afraid to sell it and go try to make it somewhere else. That's part of the game too. So,
yeah.
I can tell you a great story about USX. And I got a call to buy USX, and they told me that it was going to explode before option expiration. And I bought thousands and thousands and thousands of calls. The stock was 28, and I had 30 days to go. And I was going to lose maybe $100,000. Something 100 something. I was buying cheap calls. Obviously, the stock's 30. A stock is 28. I got to go 2 points. And I was buying options at 3/8, 30 cents, 5 teenies, a quarter, 3 teenies. I just kept buying them, thousands of them. They were zero on option expiration. The stock was moving up. It was $29. It was up $1.25 at that point. And here it is. I got options that expire at $4.10. It's $3.50. And I got 10 minutes to go. Carl Icahn comes out and bought 50 million shares, took it to $33 in 10 minutes. At the end of the day, I had a brand new Mercedes and I had a couple $100,000.
Wow.
How's that one?
I
was wearing black like I was going to a funeral. And next thing I was wearing my party.
And the only reason you didn't sell it was because there was no bid?
That was it. I just let it go. And it just exploded into the close. And there was a runoff after the close, and their stock was trading at 33, and I was selling options at $3 that I paid a teeny for or an 8 for. How's that one?
And you actually bought a car. That's great.
I bought it 8 that night. I went out and bought a new Mercedes.
That's the way to reward your subconscious.
Quickly, I did it in a second. I was actually using money that I didn't even have to buy calls. That you're talking about. I was on death row, and I got a reprieve from the governor thanks to Carl Icahn.
Didn't X get sold to the Japanese or Chinese?
That was just happened the other day, and no one said they were going to allow that to happen. And now our steel comes all from overseas. Now we have no companies in the U.S. anymore.
So how do we go to war with China? We buy the steel from China so we can go to war with China?
We got to buy it from Japan. We got to go buy the steel from Japan now. All right, so they whacked the 39 bid, and the 39, whatever the number was, hit the bid at 39 now, and that's how you keep moving the stock lower. Now the bid is 38.32 to 39.99. It's now 560,000 shares, and the stock is basically unchanged, really, but it's lower.
Right.
That's all they do. They just keep parading it back and forth. But I can't stop that. Look at the guys who just got busted for doing it. The SEC head of enforcement saying everybody's bigger penalties and everybody's behaving. Yeah, sure. They're just stealing more money. Anything else? We got a long day here.
There's no real questions. I jumped the gun because I thought the market closed at 2. So sorry.
Anyway, so again, I'll just recap everything. ZJYL, the people I know think it's going to the moon. They know where the short's coming out of velocity. If you go look at velocity trading, that's where the short's coming from. I don't know how they know that, but they know. So that one is who knows where it's going to go. That's a tough game to play. But if you do play putts around, you buy the dip, sell the rip. All right? That's the way to do it. So if you see it drop real quick, that's when you can throw a bid in there. Never pay the offer. Hopefully buy it on the buy side. And you can flip it back and forth all day long if you're lucky enough to get in a trading pattern. It looks like it's in a trading pattern where it's going to get big spikes up, push it down quick, another spike up. I mean, until it breaks out and goes to 500, I guess. All right. GTII, we're telling you about the wash machine going back and forth here. Finger motion, we're up to 201,000 in the last half hour, William, since we've been talking more 50 minutes. I watched maybe, 2,300 shares trade. With the 11,000 offered at 4, they don't want to show that offer, William, because it's a spoof, William.
I know.
So there's that recap. I put up Uber, the IPO, how they naked shorted the Uber IPO. I put that story up. I put the Millennium story up there for Ace. I talked about him last night. Ace, clean your ears. It's right there. You can read it. How all these big hedge funds short Apple, Walmart, Costco, whoever's doing a secondary offering, these guys are getting complete knowledge of it beforehand. And that brings me up to a quick story. And back in the day, there was a company called Mama.com, MAMA.com. And Mark Cuban bought in on it at $2, I think it was. And it squeezed the shorts to $20-something. Mark Cuban spoke with the company, and the company said they spoke with Mark Cuban, and they wanted to do a secondary offering. So Mark Cuban got the call about them doing a secondary. Mark Cuban sold his position after bragging about it. Everyone was following him. He sold it out with inside information. And the SEC went after him because he had inside information about the equity offering, and he dumped his stock in front of it. The stock got destroyed. The company couldn't raise the money. Mark Cuban fought the SEC, and he got off. He got out of it because he has the money to fight them. That story is, you can Google it, go knock yourself out. It's right there. Mark Cuban, at that point, should have went to jail because he was just like, who went to jail for doing the same thing? What's her name? The woman, what the hell's her name?
She's going to make birdhouses out of chicken bones. Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart went to jail for selling 5,000 shares of IMCL. The CEO told her they had bad news coming out about their cancer drug. She sold her own 5,000 shares, which she paid for. And because she sold it, that's considered insider trading. And she went to jail for selling 5,000 shares of stock. Mark Cuban sold millions of shares of stock, did the same thing, and he got off. Wow. Mama.com. So you think I heard a lot of stories in my day? I can remember them all, right?
Yeah, that's one thing you got going for you. Remember them all.
And I remember all my losing trades, which is starting to piss me off. I can't forget those stupid things. But my losing trades help me make money on new winning trades. That's how it goes. And I wish GDC was 10 already because I would sell it and buy more finger here right now. But I can't do it. Because the minute I sell GDC, it'll explode, and I'll run into finger motion, and I'll make 30 cents in finger motion, and this thing will go $5, and it'll cost me $10,000.
I think you should put your GDC down on the Florida State game tomorrow.
I'm going to bet $200 on Florida State when the line goes to 20.5.
Their scrubs are better than the other team?
No, but I think they'll play hard, and I think I don't think we'll lose by more than 20. I think we'll lose by 11, 12, like that.
Wow.
Remember, we only have we have less than a half a team playing.
Maybe the other team will put their third string up too.
I just can't believe I'm watching the manipulation. Hey, listen, not for anything. This is the first time I've seen a bid show up in GDC. This, stock to buy now is 10,000 to buy.
That's because word just got out that Ace sold his GDC.
That's. I saw a photo. Me and my son saw a photo with Ace with his Abe Lincoln hat. He looks like Abe Lincoln a little bit. But again, you saw the SEC commissioner, the head of enforcement, everything's okay. And listen, for the MMTL people or anybody else, stop fighting with bashes. People get paid to get you to sell your stock. It's, that. Do I need to put the bashes handbook up there? It's Gasparino's doing the same thing. They're trying to get it up a level. He's a washed up Wall Street Journal reporter. The guy who is from Virtue, who's a complete crook, he's out there yapping because he needs to shut down the DC angle of people going to the SEC and exposing this thing. Obviously, they did something. That guy from Virtue, whether he was part of signing to get the company publicly traded, he did something. So no wonder he's out here yapping, right? Even Lynn Partners knows to shut their mouth. Anything else, William?
No.
Well, listen, William, if there's nothing else going on, go take a break, go get lunch. And if you like, we can get back on at 3 o'clock. I'll join you at 3 o'clock if you like, and go back on at 3 o'clock and give it a break. And let's see if we can come up with some stuff. All right. Go take a break, take the dog for a walk, and we'll see everybody at 3 o'clock. It's beautiful out. Go for a walk. And I'm going to go get a hot dog. So I'll be back in a little while. All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Call ended.
All right. I'm gonna lucky boys in. Good boy. I'm gonna I guess sign off because I don't want to go on a rant. I don't want to offend Steve Carraras. Yeah, I left the building. I want to dedicate this call to Steve Carraras, and I don't want to rant. So maybe I'll just end in a couple of minutes. But we can go through some of these prices. GDC is 255, 251 to 259. Mullen, I don't know why I'm looking at it. It's up 70 cents, 1482. This SNTG, Bunny Chico's stock, is up to 647. Wow. Go Logic is up 6 cents to 57. GTII, they have it down a penny, 39 by 39.99. So that's just manipulation. We'll find out if 40 cents is significant or not. But today is kind of a meaning. Prices don't mean anything today, in my opinion. Logic, it's up a little bit, 6.5 cents, 6 cents bid. The Sprott Silver Physical Silver Trust is up a penny, 8.14. It was as low as 7.98. Anyway, that to me, that's the one. If you're going to buy something in the market, just add to it slowly. What else? Vocal, 7 cents. So I don't know what else to talk about. I don't want to go on a rant because we've got to make sure Steve Carraras is in his safe place. Thank you, Lee. We'll come back on at 3 o'clock, I guess, and I'll just wish everyone peace, love, and happiness. And I'll also wish you Happy New Year. See, we're wishing you peace, love, and happiness. And we'll wish you a happy new year. And we'll come back on at 3. But let's see if we can make 2024 a better year. Well, I don't know why private equity, maybe Mexican. The reason is private equity, venture capital, hedge funds, family offices, they're all the same. So I don't leave them off. They're all bullshitters. They all dress well. They have a little code they work with. You know, they went to the same fraternities, but they're all there to steal. That's my opinion. Hey, that's right. He's going for hot dogs. He's going for hot dogs. Grow up, Arthur. You'll make a fine adult. All right. So I'm going to sign off. I'm going to take care of a few things. I guess we'll come back at 3. So Happy New Year and peace, love, and happiness. Until then, if I miss coming back on, but we'll see what happens.